Hey guys, what's going on? In this video, we'll be learning about dictionaries, and dictionaries are used to store data in key value pair. I'll tell you the definition of key value pair in a minute. So, if you are coming from other programming domains like C and C++, you might have heard about hash maps or maps, right? So, these are similar to dictionaries. Now, okay, coming back to the definition, as I told you before, dictionaries are used to store data as key value pairs. Now, key is the unique identifier for the value that we store. So, the term dictionary, the data type dictionary, is pretty much analogous to the way we use dictionary, where we look up the word, and the word here is key, and the definition that we get is the value. Okay, so there are a couple of similarities that dictionary has with lists. So, like lists, dictionaries are mutable and dictionaries can grow and shrink, but there's a slight difference between both. So, you remember how we accessed each individual elements in lists? So, we used to access individual elements in lists via indexes, right? Now, in dictionary, we access individual elements or the elements stored inside it via keys. Okay, so pretty quickly, let's understand the notation of dictionary, how we represent a dictionary. Let's start off by creating a variable, say programmer, and the dictionary is represented by curly brackets. So this denotes an empty dictionary. Okay, now let's feed the values. So as I told you, they are stored in key value pairs. So first of all, we will fill in the keys. So for example, let's put key as name and put a colon and then put the value, say Dan. And then if you want to enter another key value pair, put comma and then enter a key, let's say age colon its value, say 25. Then another key, say languages. Then we can put its value, say let's pass a list saying Python, he knows C++, and he knows Java. Okay, so this was the basic notation of dictionary. One thing to note here is that values can be anything, right? The values here are Dan, 25, and lists of the languages. As values can be anything. However, the keys here are name, age, and languages should be only immutable data types. So here string is an immutable data type. Now let's quickly print and see how this looks. I will tell you, come back to it a moment later. Let's print and see how it looks. If I run it, notice that dictionary looks something like this. Okay, now as I told you before, keys can only be immutable data types. So let's put an invalid key, say a list, right? So let me just remove it and let me put a list, say Python. It actually doesn't make any sense, and Java and something like that as a key. And if I try to run it, you will see that it will give me an error saying unhashable type list. That's because list here is a mutable data type. So we only can have immutable data types such as strings, integers, floats as the keys. So let me put it back to name. Okay, so that's how we represent dictionary. Now let's access the individual values from dictionary. So pretty much similar to the lists where we access values via indexing, we can access the value here via keys. So put a square bracket and pass the keys. So as I'm using Visual Studio Code here, it gave me suggestions already that you can access these many keys. So let me actually access the languages key, and if I try to print it, you will see it will directly print me the values for that key. Okay, this is how we access the values. And suppose what happens if I just access a value which does not exist, say ages. This key does not exist, right? So if I try to print it, it will give me an error saying key error. Hey, this key does not exist. Now, at certain times, we don't want to get this error because when you're creating large applications, you don't want a scope for error. Instead, you want to return something like, hey, this key does not exist, true, false, anything like that. So for that, we can access via something called get method. So you pass the variable, then you put dot get, then you pass the key. In this case, key let the key value be name, and it will do the same as accessing via square bracket, but the only difference is that if I pass something which does not exist, say man key as man, and if I try to print it, it will, instead of give me an error, it gave me none, right? So I can use this none value to produce something else. Now this none is a by default value. You can change that value to anything, like key not found, something like that. And if I try to run it, it will, instead of printing none, it will say key not found. It's a really useful function, and it is a very useful way to access the values in dictionary. Now let's add a key value pair. Let's print the programmer. Let's print the programmer. Okay. Now let's add some values to the dictionary. So very simple way to, straightforward way to add value to dictionary is to pass the variable, then put square bracket, then pass the key that you want to put. For example, if I want to put a key, say experience, and if I pass the value as 30, and if I try to print the programmers, let me actually clear the screen. And if I try to print the dictionary, you notice that experience is added at the end. One thing to notice is that if key already exists and I am passing a new value to it, it will update the existing value. Now let me show you actually. So let me put name as Danny, and if I, since key name already exists here, instead of adding a new key name, it will directly update this Dan as Danny. Let me run this. Okay, so you can see the name has been updated to Danny. Okay, can you tell me the reason why? So if you recall correctly, earlier I told you that keys are the unique identifier for the value that we store. The point of importance here is unique. Keys should be unique. They should not be repetitive. And in case they are repetitive, the value they stored get automatically updated. Cool. Now let's insert multiple values, right? So to insert multiple values, we can make use of something called as update. The programmer dot update, and inside it you pass a dictionary again. Let's say let's pass a phone in 99999. Let's pass another, say experience again, which will say 20, and let's pass name as Dan. Let's bring back Dan. So one thing you will notice is that update is one method in which you can simultaneously add as well as update existing records. So if I try to run it, okay, let me print actually, print programmer. So you will see that the existing values have been updated. So earlier it was Danny, it has been updated to Dan, and experience have been added as 20, and phone has been added as 99999. So update is also a really useful function. Okay, let me clear the screen again. Cool. Now we can also delete the values, key value pair from the dictionary. Why do I keep deleting this print function? I should not do that. Okay, suppose if you want to remove something from the, remove a key value pair from the dictionary, there are a couple of ways to do that. First way is by using a del keyword and then pass the variable name, then put a square bracket and pass the key. Okay, let's delete say languages, and let me run it. You will see the languages key value pair is deleted. So we only have name Dan and age 25. Now the other way to do that is, okay, let me once again save it. So, and let me print it again. So this time we have original dictionary. Now the other way to do that is via pop. Now you remember in the previous lecture we told the advantages of using pop. So pop not only removes the key value pair but also returns the value that it popped off. So let's implement pop. Let's put programmer dot pop and then pass the key. Let's pass key as languages again. And since it's returning a value, we can catch that value and use it further in our program. So you can say returned equals to, and let's print returned as well. And now if I try to run it, you would see that, okay, oh, so we don't have languages. Let me correct it again. We only have languages, and if I try to run it, you'd see that the language is no longer there in the dictionary, and and it returned me the value which was deleted. In this case, the value which was deleted was list. Cool. So that was how you delete specific key values. Now you can also find out the length of the dictionary just like in lists. So we can make use of the len function. Just type len, pass the programmer inside, and if you run it, you would see the output as 3. That's because we only have 3 key value pairs. Cool. So that was about the length function. Now, if you want to print all the keys present inside dictionary, we can do that by typing print programmer dot keys. So what it does, programmer dot keys accesses the entire keys from the dictionary. So if you try to print it, you would see it would print me a list, dictionary key list of name, age, and languages. Similar way, you can access the values. Simply type values, and if you run it, it will print me the values. We have Dan, 25, and the list of the languages. And suppose if you want to access both key and values, you need to type items dot items. So if you do that, it will return me the entire key with value as tuple. So you can see name and Dan. Name is the key here, Dan is the value here, age is the key here, 25 is the value here, and so on and so forth. Now the advantage of these methods is that we can use these methods to loop through the dictionary and access the values and manipulate them as we want. We can directly loop through by using for loop, and again I repeat, I'll be having a course on loops and iterators. There we'll be extensively studying about for loops, and just for now, just understand that for loop is used to iterate through the dictionary, accessing each specific values. So let's access the keys from the dictionary programmer. So you can type for keys or any variable. You can type any variable. So let me type k in programmer, put colon and enter, then print the keys. So this would actually print the keys. If I do that, it gave me all the keys, name, age, and languages. There's another way in which you could do that. The other way was to just type for k in programmer dot keys. So if I try to run it, you'd see it also returned the same thing. Now if we type values, we can iterate through the entire values and it will print me the answer like so. Now what if I do items? Now if you remember, items returned us 2 values, right? A name, the key, and the value. But here we are only passing one variable, so we need to access both the values. Now to access 2 values, since it programmer.items return a pair, that is key and value, we have to pass 2 variables. So let's pass v as well. So and let's print k comma v. So what it does is the k variable will iterate through all the keys, and v variable will iterate through all the variables. Now if you try to print it, it will print me the keys. The k, remember, k is iterating through the keys and v is iterating through the variables, sorry, values, I meant values. Okay, the reason it is advantageous to use dot items, dot keys, and dot values is that you can use it via for loop and directly access them and manipulate and so forth. So that was all about in this tutorial about dictionaries. If you really like this video, then there are a couple of things that you can do. The simplest and easiest one is to simply like and subscribe the channel, and you can also spread the word to others who really want to learn about Python tutorials and support us to grow our channel. Alright guys, see you in the next lecture.